Hi everybody, welcome to this parent guide to Google Classroom. This will be a little tour around Google Classroom if your school has started to use Google Classroom as the way that it's sharing work with you, either in a homework context or maybe it's a remote learning context because of the current situation. So let's take a look at Google Classroom, and the first thing you need to do is sign into Google. So your child will have a Google account. You need to go to google.com, preferably on a Chrome browser is probably the best way to access G Suite and Google Classroom. I'm doing this on a MacBook. You might be doing this via a laptop or a Chromebook. You can also access Google Classroom via an iPad, but you'll need to download the Google Classroom app for that. Probably to be the best thing to do for iPads. It might also be worth looking at some of the other apps that go with G Suite, such as Google Slides and Google Docs, which might make it easier for them to complete some of the work. But here we are on the laptop, so I'm going to sign in as if I was a student at my school. I've become Robbie Williams for today. So we'll just sign in as Robbie and then we will get started. So password to get into Google. So here we go. So I know that I'm in G Suite now because my initials appeared here. And next to the 9, if you click on the 9 dots, sometimes we call this the waffle. It gives you the programs that are available part of G Suite to your child, and this might vary depending on what the school has set up. So some schools, for example, may not have pupils with Gmail and calendar. Might be from a secondary context, that would be okay. Primaries probably steer away from using email and calendar at this stage, but that depends on the school. Some schools, maybe in upper key stage 2, might be working towards preparing children for secondary school and want them to start using some of those features. You'll notice classrooms here in the 9 dots, so just click on Classroom and that will open up Google Classroom. Here we go. Now, I have 2 classrooms already here. So you can have more than one classroom for Google, and in this case, with a primary context, you probably would just have the one classroom, 1 or 2 classrooms maybe for primary. For secondary, you might have a classroom per subject, and that will depend on how your school sets it up. Now, to get into your classroom that your teacher has set up for you, there are 2 ways your school could do this. One, they could set you up for you, in which case the example is here where you're just going to accept this invitation. So you've been invited to join class 3. It's already there waiting for you to click join and you're away. The other way that your teacher may set you up is to give you what they call the class code. In other words, if you go to the plus sign at the top right-hand corner here, that will open up this window and it will invite you to add a class code, and it will just be a few letters or numbers, etc. And once you've added that, you can join the classroom here on the top right, and then you're in. So this one I'm already established. I'm already in this demonstration classroom that I'm going to use for today's video. So let's go inside this classroom. Let's click inside and here we go. So quick tour around. First of all, 3 tabs at the top. The first 2 are the ones you're going to use the most. The stream, which is where all the communication happens. So that's the messages from teachers, it's the comments from other pupils, and the notifications for work that is set. The classwork is where all the assignments, they call them assignments in Google Classroom. It's a bit more formal, a bit more secondary maybe, but any work that is set is called an assignment, and that features in Classwork, which you can see just here. We'll come back to this in a moment. And then the last tab is the people, where you can see everybody who is in this classroom, as in a list of their names, and there are ways to contact them if you've got email established with those children. I say most primary probably won't have this feature, so that probably won't look like that. So let's go back to the stream. So we have the name of the class here at the top. We also have in this particular classroom the Google Meet link. This is the link to click on for a live session. So if your teacher is doing any live Google Meet lessons or meetings or story time or registration, they will put up the link for you to click on to enter that live room. If it's not there, that's because the teacher doesn't want you to go in there at the point. They can turn it on and off. So it may or may not feature in your classroom. Your school may or may not be doing live sessions. That just depends on how the school is setting things up. The rest of the stream here is communication. So it might be a notification here that some work has been assigned. Here there's a video from the school that they want the children to watch, which is a YouTube clip. And here there's a message from the class teacher, etc. On the left-hand side, a little reminder about what work is due in at the moment. For that to work, the teacher needs to set due dates, deadlines, and again, that might be the difference between primary and secondary. You may or may not use dates and deadlines in the way that they use Classroom. One thing to say about conversations, in this particular class, as a pupil here, I could add a comment. And it would appear to everybody within the classroom itself. So if I make a message, everybody will be able to see it. Children need to know that, because if they write something that's maybe not appropriate, everybody's going to see it, okay, including the teacher. So really important that children learn before they start using Google Classroom about the appropriateness of what to type into these different messages. Again, your school has some decisions to make, or your class teacher has some decisions to make on whether this chat is on or off. And they can change that on a daily basis. If it was my classroom, I would certainly be turning off the chat maybe in the evenings and at the weekends, and maybe in half terms and holidays and things, because I won't be going in there to check it every few minutes that it's appropriate. So it's probably a good idea for teachers to turn that off. Depending on the age of the children, it just might not be appropriate for them to have a chat facility, and it might just be only there for the teacher to send messages and to post comments, etc. So let's take a look now at the classwork. So this is where all the business happens, really. This is where the work is set for the children. We'll take a little look around first of all. It will look different for all classrooms because your teacher can set it up as they wish. This one here has been set up into days of the week because this is set up for remote learning. This class is at home at the moment. We've got some useful links at the top. These are websites that we use regularly for children. We've got accounts, so Times Table Rockstars, for example. My Maths is our homework for maths. It might look different for you. You might have Mathletics or Purple Mash or whatever your school is using. They might put these links on for you to quickly access. And then this classroom has been set up for days of the week. And these are the tasks that are expected to be done each day. Sometimes they have due dates. And you'll see some of them are grey and some of them are green. The grey ones generally mean it's been done already. So if I click on this and view the assignment, you can see actually already here it's handed in, it's been done. This is complete already, so there's some instructions here. I've already said that I've done this piece of work as the pupil, so there's no more to do with this. If I go to another piece of work, let's have a look at a different one. Let's have a look at this balanced argument here. It's due in tomorrow, so I better get a move on with this. So I'm going to click on it. I'm going to view the assignment, and here is the work that I need to do, writing a balanced argument. Here are some instructions. Again, there's an option for class comment here, but everybody will see that. On the right hand side, there is a private comment that would only go to your teacher. So if it's something that you don't particularly want to share with everybody, then that's where you would write a message. If you're maybe a bit stuck or you need some help, then that's a good way to communicate with your teacher when you're working remotely. On the top here, you can see that with this piece of work, there's actually an attachment, and here it's a Google Doc. So within G Suite, Google Doc is the Word version, if you like, and what this classroom does is when the teacher has set this piece of work, it creates a doc for everybody. So here is the doc that's been created for me. I've already had a go at doing my piece of writing in 4 paragraphs as requested. And when I've finished, I can go to the top right and I can turn it in. It's a very American phrase, that, isn't it? This is originally an American product. So hand in is what we would normally refer to. So you might see some Americanisms still there, but turn in your work. Click on that. I'm going to turn this in. It's going to say hand in your work, ? And I'm going to hand it in. What that does then is sends that to your teacher so they can pick it up at their end and have a look. They might make some comments on it, or they might refer to it the next lesson, or give some general feedback to the whole class, depending on how they do their feedback. But that's now done. So I've handed my piece of work in. So I can go back to the classroom where all the work is set. There we go. And you'll now notice that this is grey. So that piece of work is done. At the top, you can look at all the work in one go, so everything that's been assigned to you in a list. So if it's been assigned, that means it's not been done yet. This piece of work here is what we've just handed in, and some other pieces have been handed in. You can see at the bottom there's one called that's been labelled as missing. That's because this due date has passed. So this is a piece of outstanding work. So it's a good way, when a teacher sets a deadline, it will show that when a piece of work is overdue. Also at the top, the Meet link is also here. It's the same as the one in the stream, so there's no difference. If your school has given you access to calendar, what it does, it puts the dates that the work is due on the calendar. And the last folder here, if you click on that, is where all the work is saved. This is your own personal folder on Google Drive. You can see that piece of work that we've just done has appeared. That's the only piece of work that's been saved so far. So that's a little look around the main work. As I said, the last the last tab is where you can see a list of people. You don't really use that very much in the context. You're mostly going to be looking at the stream for communications and the classwork for completing the work that has been done. If you do have a piece of work that hasn't got a task necessarily assigned to it, so there's no attachment, you might be doing it on paper, you might be reading a book, you might be just saying, I've done this, then you can just mark it as done, mark as done. And again, the teacher then will get a message to say that that work has been completed in their list. So that's about it. That's your little tour of Google Classroom. Hope that's helpful. Good luck with your remote learning if you're learning from home, or if you're using Google Classroom for the first time. I hope you find it really useful.